Good morning and welcome to the garden this morning. It's a nice and sunny day. So today I'm going to do 3 projects. It'll be like the start of a couple of projects and then we're going to see how they do in a few weeks time. But I thought maybe rather than waiting for a long time for things to happen, I'll show you 3 projects. Project 1. So along here are my hostas. They get battered and bruised over the winter. So one of the things I've got to do is tot them all up and think about some prevention for some mean little critters that try to eat them, mainly slugs and snails. So I'll talk you through what I'm trying this year for those. And project 2 involves these guys, which are bee plants, which I've grown myself. And they're getting quite big now, so I need to move them. I think I've got peas at the back here. I think that these... Well, originally I thought these were broccoli, but maybe these are... Maybe they're salad greens. These might be broccoli. Maybe I do. Maybe I've got sprouting broccoli here, normal broccoli, and then at the back there are leeks. So all of them are vegetables, but the peas are looking good. And they need transplanting. So I'm going to move those peas, I think, into these containers. I'm going to add some soil to them, but obviously at the moment they've got ivy in, and I think I'm going to transplant the ivy into my hanging baskets. I've got 4 hostas in pots here, and firstly what happens is the squirrels and the foxes think these pots are a brilliant place to hide their nuts. We have a fox that also likes to bury whole eggs. So a lot of them need top dressing, which is where you just add on some more soil on the top. And just tidying up a bit because I've got some weeds in them and things. This one in particular, see, it's been dug up quite a lot. Look at that one, it's really pretty, it's got purple. Once they've come up, I can tell you which hostas I've got because I do know all 4 of them. It's just matching up which one with the name. So I'm going to tidy them up, I'm going to add some more soil. But the main issue we've got, and you can see with these ones, what happens, these are the first lot that have come up, is that hostas are a favourite with slugs and snails. And you see here, they've like literally taken the entire thing off there. Crazy. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you in a moment, I'm going to trial 2 different ways, once I've top dressed them, of trying to stop the slugs and snails game. I've top dressed them and watered them in with just some standard multi-purpose compost. And we now need to think about prevention for slugs and snails. As I'm a science teacher, I thought I would do a little experiment to see which is best. Now, I'm really anti using slug pellets because it's not the snails' fault that they like to eat my hostas. So really what I'm looking for are preventative measures to try and ensure they don't eat these. So last year I invested in these, which are Slug gone wool pellets. Now if I just show you what they're like. Slugs and snails don't like going over wool. So we've got some of these, not a full packet worth. Apparently one of the things you can use is ground coffee. Now luckily for me, Moscow is a ground coffee addict and has a machine. So what I do is ask him just to put them in this pot and then I will have enough to use. But I'm a scientist, and so what I would like to do is to actually test to see whether this works better than the pellets. Now obviously this one's had a little bit of an issue because it's already got at, but I know how much, and I even found the culprit and I've chucked them away. And I've checked all the pots for snails to begin with because that's an unfair advantage for the snail if it's already there before I put them in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to surround 2 sets in coffee granules and 2 with the pellets. Now the only thing that I would say about the coffee granules is that I have used them elsewhere in the garden, and you do have to be really aware of reapplying them. Unlike the wool pellets, obviously this breaks down eventually and also can be washed away. So we'll do this one and this one. Beep, beep, beep. The wool pellets, I've been wondering why. I've been finding bits of wool everywhere around my garden. I've been thinking they're plastic. I've realised they're from using the wool pellets last year. But with these, we're just going to sprinkle them around the outside. No, definitely don't look this appealing. Don't look as appealing at all. Plus, also, I'm going to smell like a sheep, but it's worth testing out. So hopefully I'll have experiment setup: coffee grounds versus sheep wool pellets. Let the experiment commence, and hopefully it will work for both and neither set of hostas will get eaten. Right, so the next project is to plant up these pea plants before they get too big into these. So the first thing is to get rid of the ivy, which I'm going to just transplant somewhere, because this isn't just your standard ivy, this is like a variegated ivy. It's like a prettier one than the wild one that we get here. So I'm going to transplant those. Then I'm going to add manure, because they need quite nutrient rich soil to the what soil's in here already. And then I will plant them in. So I will show you them once I have mixed in the manure. What I've worked out is I've got quite a lot of compost left over and some manure compost. So I'm actually going to plant up these other seedlings at the same time. Those are, I think, salad greens. I've got these two long green troughs that were here in the garden. In fact, all these pots that are here were in the garden when we arrived. All about reuse. So I'm going to put the soil into those, find a new home for the ivy, and then I'll show you when I plant up these bits. I've gone for 4 in this, well no, 8 in this one, and actually only 3 sets of, well there's 2 sets of 2 and a set of 3 there, so 3 of them managed to grow. Sometimes they say to pinch one off. I'm going to give them a go. I don't know how they'll do. These containers are quite shallow, so I'm going to need to make sure I water them really regularly, otherwise they will dry out and lose nutrients. But the other thing the peas need is, you can see they've got these little tiny tendrils almost, and they need to climb up something. So I've got an idea. So normally you use like beam poles and wire, but what we've got in the garden actually is hazel, which is used as kind of weaving. It's quite a malleable wood, but it's very strong. And so I'm thinking of creating some kind of hazel construction. I will show you when I'm done. This is what I've kind of come up with. It's a bit of a hodgepodge, but it saves using beam poles, and it also saves using lots of extra wire or string in the garden, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, if worse comes to worse, I can always put beam poles around the outside. And this idea is inspired by my nan. She actually uses old fuchsia bushes that she's chopped off that have died back. So I'm hoping that it's kind of like a version of what she did, and she always has great success. She has an amazing allotment in her garden, so yeah, her veg patch is incredible. So that's what we've done with those, and here are our little seedlings all watered in, and I just need to go find a home for those. So move the hostas down here for our little experiment. All pellets and coffee grounds. And then the pièce de résistance. I have put the ivy into the hanging baskets. The geranium's overwintered. So actually it looks quite nice now. I don't really like seeing the baskets, so now the ivy's in there. So there's this one here. Our newly painted door. We're so proud of ourselves. And this one. And this one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!